Hello and welcome to the multiple uses of the reflexive. The reflexive is used for a lot of things. Mostly we can limit those to anonymous actions and reciprocity. So this is a lesson in anonymity and reciprocity. Let's list the uses, the different uses that the reflexive can be used for. One is an action wherein the subject is affected by his or her own actions, such as I wash my own hair, or I comb my own hair, I put on my own clothes. Or actions that they do to themselves, such as I brush my teeth by myself, I'm sitting alone by myself, I talk to myself. Another is an action that is accidental or unintentional in nature. The Spanish reflexive is used to talk about this. I accidentally dropped my books. The lights turned off on us. It's also used in step-by-step explanation of instructions. For example, we say first you take the book, then you open it, then you read. Well, in Spanish, you don't say you use reflexive. Also, it denotes reciprocal action between two people or a group of people. You would use the reflexive when you want to use the term each other. They watched out for each other. They love each other. They kissed each other. They played cards with each other. They talked with each other. You would use the reflexive. Also, to show completion of action with the sense of totally, or completeness. Like, I totally ate the cake. I ate the whole cake. You would use reflexive. Or I'm leaving the party. But if you use the reflexive, I'm leaving the party without any intention of returning. So we'll go over that. And to show an action without knowing who did it. This is passive voice. For instance, suddenly the door was opened. Suddenly the book was burned, where there is no subject involved, but the action did take place. And finally, it can be used for the onset of action or specifically emotions, such as instead of saying I am afraid, I became afraid, or I became happy, I became emotional, I became sad, I became bored. So let's look at the structure of the reflexive and how it's made. The reflexive consists of a combination of a verb. Take any verb, lavar, caer, poner, ir, and the use of the indirect object pronouns. If we look at a chart here, the person doing the action, these are subject pronouns, as you know. Yo hablo, tú hablas, él habla, nosotros hablamos, ellos hablan. That's the subject. But we use the indirect object pronouns, the column in the middle, as the person receiving the action. Me, myself. And there's a common translation on the right. Te, yourself. Se, himself or herself. Nos, ourselves. Se, themselves. So we have an example. Yo me lavo el pelo. I wash my hair is a common translation in English. Spanish, literally, I wash myself, my hair. I wash my own hair. Él se cayó de la silla. He fell off the chair. He fell off unintentionally. He fell off the chair with relation to the chair. Se cayó. He himself fell. Tú te pusiste la bufanda. You put on the scarf. Put it on yourself. Te pusiste. Nosotros nos vimos en la tienda. We saw each other in the store. Reflexive verbs are recognized in their infinitive form by the se endings. So we have the se endings here, and those make the verbs reflexive. Reviewing indirect and direct object pronouns. We're not going to spend a long time on this. You can go back to look at previous chapters or grammar points on the indirect and direct object pronouns. We're going to look at these very quickly, cursorially, and then look at the reflexive pronouns and how they're made. The person doing the action, as we saw before, are subject pronouns, yo, tú, él, nosotros, ellos. The indirect object pronoun normally asks the question, or it does ask the question, to whom, for whom, from whom. So to me, me, to you, te, to him or her, le, to us, nos, to them, les. The direct object pronoun answers the question, what? Me, te, lola. I have a ball. A ball answers the question, what? So let's take a look at a couple examples really quick. Tomás me dio la bola. Tomás gave me la bola, the ball. In other words, la bola is the direct object, gave it to me. I'm the indirect object. It is for me. To whom is it going? To me. If we take a look at the same sentence, Tomás me la dio. He gave it to me, meaning the ball. So the ball becomes la. It's the direct object. You can see in the right column. This is the correct order. Where it goes first, to me, then the object, then the giving. Tomás le dio la bola a Jorge. So Thomas gave him, Jorge, the ball. And we can put a Jorge because le can refer to a boy or a girl. And we want to be specific because it's pretty nebulous as far as what it refers to. So Tomás le, meaning a Jorge, dio la bola. He's receiving the ball, since the indirect object pronoun. Tomás se la dio. Tomás gave it to him. La is the bola. Now remember, you can't have le la. So that's why we use se la dio. And that's why it's also in the middle column in parentheses, because le has to change to se if you're using the direct object pronoun with it. You may have to review these on your own, but this is to point out that the reflexive pronouns are these. The action we receive, I receive my own action, you receive your own action, he, we, they receive their own action. An action, first of all, let's take a look at go through the list of uses, and this is one of the uses. An action wherein the subject is affected by his or her own actions. In Spanish, part of the body or actions that happen to the body are not personalized as in English. My hand, my face, my feet, my back, my dress, etc., but are rather affected by actions which one does to oneself. In other words, my body is affected by actions that happen to it. This normally happens in grooming or putting on articles of clothing. When speaking, the possessive pronoun is not used with that part of the body or the article of clothing. Se vistió de negro, from the verb vestir, se, reflexive. He dressed in black. Literally, he dressed himself. He got dressed in black. Me lavo el pelo. Lavar, we made it reflexive. Se, I am washing my hair. Washing my own hair. Well, we don't say mi pelo. Me sequé la espalda. I dried my back. We don't say mi espalda because it's right there. Me sequé, the reflexive shows that. Se cepillaron los dientes. They brushed their teeth. The verb cepillar is made reflexive, meaning an action that I'm doing to myself in grooming. Se cepillaron, they brushed their own teeth. Te pones el vestido. Ponerse, to put on. You put on the dress. Te pones. Nos cortamos el pelo. We cut our hair. Nos cortamos el pelo. Another use for the reflexive is an action that is accidental or unintentional in nature. Actions that happen by accident or not anyone's fault, or in which the person responsible evades responsibility, then the reflexive is used. The reflexive actually distances the person from the action by making the subject the victim or recipient of what happened. Many times in English we use the words on me. The lights turned out on me. Or on us, on you. In Spanish, this form of the reflexive is a way of saying things just sort of happened to the person. So there's going to be the indirect object, to whom. These reflexives will always be in the third person singular or plural, making the object the one doing the action, or the accident the one doing the action. Take a look at some examples. Se me cayó el libro. I dropped the book accidentally. The book fell out of my hands, literally. Se cayó is the reflexive. El libro is the subject. The book, I'm the victim, me. Se nos apagó la luz. In English we would say the lights turned off on us. Se apagó is the reflexive verb. La luz is the person is the thing that actually turned itself off. Nos, we receive the action. We're the victims. On us. Se le descompuso el teléfono. The telephone broke on her. In relation to her. Se descompuso, reflexive form of descomponerse. El teléfono is the subject. El teléfono broke. Le, the girl, is the victim. It broke on her. Se te olvidaron las llaves. You accidentally forgot the keys. Okay, the keys are the subject. Se olvidaron is the reflexive verb. You're the victim. Te. Se les terminaron las hamburguesas. They ran out of hamburgers. Las hamburguesas is the subject. Therefore, se terminaron is plural. And who's the one affected? Les, they. Unintentional will always have se, and then it will always have the victim following it in the sentence syntax. Se cayó. Se apagó. Se terminaron. Se olvidaron. Se descompuso. These are the reflexive verbs. We'll always have se, but look what falls in between them. The indirect object pronouns, the victims of the unintentional action. Another use is used in step-by-step instructions. Every language has a way of giving step-by-step instructions on how to do something. In English, we use the word you. First you do this, then you do that. Spanish, however, uses the reflexive. By using the reflexive, the action is left anonymous. Here's a recipe for chocolate cake. Receta para pastel de chocolate. It's used in example. Don't follow this or it'll taste like crap. Primero se miden los ingredientes. First, one measures the ingredients. Se miden los ingredientes. Notice it's plural because ingredientes are plural. Luego se agregan 3 huevos. Then one adds 3 eggs. Again, plural and reflexive because eggs are plural. Luego se lava el molde. Then one washes the cake mold. Luego se prende el horno a 350 grados Fahrenheit. Then one turns on the oven to 350. Luego se pone el pastel en el horno. One puts the cake in the oven. Se saca después de hornear. Notice the reflexive use here gives step-by-step instructions. Another use is a reciprocal action between two people or members of a group. In order to communicate what in English we say as each other, the Spanish uses the reflexive. These reflexives will always be in the plural form because they always involve two people or a group of people. Nos conocimos el año pasado. We met each other last year. And that's what the reflexive does, each other. Nos conocimos el año pasado. Mis tíos se hablaron ayer. My uncles didn't merely hablaron, se hablaron, they talked with each other. Ayer. Nos gustamos. We like each other. Los novios se besaron. The bride and groom kissed each other. When emphasis is desired, or there's a need for clarification, which sometimes happens when you're talking about the third person and you're saying les, or in case the reflexive can mean something else, then there's three types of phrases are used depending on the nature of the verb. Recibir de. Se recibieron regalos el uno del otro. They received gifts from each other. Now notice that I have the de as highlighted because it's the reason that you would put el uno del otro. Recibir de, to receive from. Amar a. Se aman los unos a los otros. They loved each other. Soñar con. Se soñaron el uno con el otro. Notice that the de, if it's recibir de, receive from. Amar a, to love someone. Soñar con, that's because con is used with soñar, is going to be the determinant factor or preposition between el uno del otro. Se recibieron regalos. They received gifts, but they want to make it each other, el uno del otro, because se recibieron could also just be, oh, they received gifts, as passive voice. But el uno del otro indicates from each other, strengthens the reflexive to clarify that the one received from the other. Se aman simply means they love each other, or se aman, they love, they receive love. Los unos, some, los unos a los otros, they loved each other, the group of people. Se soñaron could by itself just mean they dreamt about themselves. It could be that way reflexive. So el uno con el otro adds to the emphasis and clarification that they dreamt about each other. Reflexive is also used to show a completion of action with a sense of totally or completeness. The reflexive can also communicate totality or completeness of action. Ayer comí pastel simply states yesterday I ate cake. But if I say ayer me comí el pastel, yesterday I ate the whole cake or I finished the cake. Yo voy al trabajo, I'm going to work. But if I make it reflexive, yo me voy de esta fiesta. I'm leaving this party for good, not to return. Me voy indicates completion of action. I'm going for good. Yo compro una manzana. I'll buy an apple. Yeah, sounds good. If I'm really hungry, me las compro todas. I'm buying all the apples for myself. The reflexive can also be used to show an action without knowing who did it, in other words, the passive voice. When the person doing the action is not specifically mentioned, but the action is, this is passive voice. There is no subject when I say the book was read, for example. Doesn't say who read the book. Using the reflexive is one way to form the passive voice, and the most common. Se abrieron las puertas. The doors opened. La alarma sonó. The alarm sounded. Se apaga la luz. The lights are going off. Se escucharon ruidos en la noche. Noises were heard in the night. Onset of emotion or action, and specifically emotions, is another reason to use the reflexive. The reflexive, when in English we say, I became afraid, it describes the onset of an action, specifically here, emotion. Spanish uses the reflexive form of the verb to communicate this beginning of action. Las aves se asustan fácilmente. Birds become frightened easily. Se imaginó cómo habría sido la vida sin ella. He started to imagine what life would have been like without her. Ayer me alegré cuando te vi. Yesterday I became very happy when I saw you. Nos asustamos cuando entró. We became frightened when she entered. Of particular note are two verbs used in the reflexive to express the onset of a feeling or emotion. Ponerse and hacerse. Se puso muy nervioso para el examen. He became very nervous, not she. He became very nervous for the exam. Me pongo bien alegre cuando. I become very happy when. Jesús se hizo hombre. Jesus became a man. Él se hizo el pobre para ocultar su identidad. He became or pretended to be a poor person in order to hide his identity. This is a particular use of the reflexive hacerse. And the way that you would form this is by using el pobre or él. Él se hizo el inocente. He pretended to be an innocent person. Ella se hizo el presidente. She acted like the president. So you're going to have se hizo with the definite article and the thing that's being imitated. This is basically the reflexive uses.